Hello, everyone. I'm Zachary Freeman, and I appreciate you joining me today. I'm going to apologize in advance. I felt like the information in this video was important to get out as quick as possible, so this may not be the most polished or the most edited, but I wanted to get this information to you ASAP, so thank you. Now let's get into it. So CMS has just announced a new program for GLP-1s for people on Medicare, and this could be the biggest change in the drug market that we have seen in a long time. If you've heard of names of like Wegovy and Zepbound, these are medications that some have been prescribed for use of weight loss, obesity treatment, in some cases diabetes, and heart-related conditions. The problem is the cost. Without insurance, many of these medications can cost over thousands of dollars. And historically, Medicare has not covered Wegovy or Zepbound when it has been prescribed for weight loss. CMS has announced the GLP-1 Bridge Program. This is a temporary demonstration. It's going to start in July 1st of this year and run to the end of 2027. And it is designed to get Medicare beneficiaries Wegovy, Zepbound for $50 a month. Now, there's a lot of confusion with how this plan works, so I do want to clear it up. This is not a standard benefit that is going to be added to your current Part D program. So it's not magically going to happen where every Part D program out there is covering this drug for weight loss. But instead, CMS has created a third-party program to give you access to this medications. This third-party program will operate outside of your normal prescription drug plan. Whether it is in an Advantage plan or standalone, this program's operating outside of that. Instead of using drug plan handling and medication approval and billing through the prescription drug plan, they've created a centralized system outside of it. The goal is for CMS to create what they call a bridge between you and getting access to these medications. And this bridge is going to eventually work its way into the larger program that they're working on called Balance. Right now, CMS says Medicare beneficiaries generally must have a Part D program. So that a Part D program, either through a prescription drug plan or a Medicare Advantage plan, you have to have some sort of Part D prescription plan. You must meet certain prior authorization requirements, and we are going to touch base on those in a little bit. And then you must work with a provider who's going to document medical necessity and lifestyle counseling. Not everyone on Medicare will automatically be qualified for this program. Like I said, there are still clinical guidelines and approval requirements you must meet. What criteria must a beneficiary meet to qualify? I'm going to pull it up on this page here, and I'm going to read it verbatim. That way I don't miss any beats. The beneficiary is prescribed the requested drug to reduce excess weight and maintain weight reduction in combination with current and ongoing lifestyle modification, including structured nutrition and physical activity, consistent with applicable FDA-approved label, and the beneficiary must be at least 18 years of age and have a BMI greater or equal to 35 at the time of the initiation of the therapy. The beneficiary is at least 18 years of age and has a BMI greater or equal to 30 at the time of GLP-1 therapy, with a diagnosis of one or more of the following. A, heart failure with preserved ejection fractions. B, uncontrolled hypertension, defined as a systolic blood pressure above 140 mmHg or diastolic blood pressure above 90 mmHg, despite concurrent treatment with two antihypertensive medications. Or C, chronic kidney disease stage 3A or above. Or the beneficiary needs to be at least 18 years of age and has a BMI greater or equal to 27 at the time of GLP-1 therapy, with a diagnosis of one or more of the following. A, prediabetes, as defined by the American Diabetes Association guidelines. B, previous myocardial infarction. C, previous stroke. Or D, symptomatic peripheral artery disease. So it's just not going to be available for weight loss only. You do have to have a comorbidity in there in order to meet qualifications. But still, this is going to bridge the solution to a lot of clients I've seen over the years who have not been able to get this medication due to the fact that it was going to cost them thousands of dollars a month. So does a beneficiary need to meet Medicare GLP-1 Bridge criteria at the time of the prior authorization request or at the time they first initiated GLP-1 therapy? And an eligible beneficiary must meet the clinical criteria at the time of GLP-1 therapy initiation. This includes beneficiaries who initiated therapy prior to enrolling in Medicare Part D or prior to July 1st. So what this means is, in order to qualify, you don't have to meet those requirements of BMI and blood pressure and everything that we go over. Now, you had to have met those requirements when you first got prescribed or started on GLP-1s. So if you're under those requirements now because the medication's still working, you're going to have access to this program still. You're still going to be able to get it for $50 a month. They're not going to stalemate you because now your blood pressure is lower or your BMI is lower. If it was at those criteria when you first started, you are going to get eligibility to this program. That's what this says. Now, you're probably wondering what medications are on this program. Foundayo, the Wegovy injectables and tablets, and the Zepbound quick pen. If you've looked at this information prior to April 26th, they've just added Foundayo following its FDA approval. So that is a newer one. But the big thing is Wegovy injectable or tablets and Zepbound injectable only. So, like I said earlier, this program is operating outside your Part D benefits. That means two things. One, any cost out of your pocket is not going to go towards your Part D prescription max out of pocket. As well as if you hit your Part D prescription max out of pocket, you're still going to have to pay $50 a month. So there is pros and cons. Pro is we're going to be able to get this medication at a cheaper cost. The downside is it's a third party. You're not going to get it factored towards your prescription max. And if you hit it, you're not going to get it covered 100% the rest of the year like you would your other medications. You're still going to have to pay $50 a month. So if you look at the frequently asked questions page, you can see the negotiated cost of what the manufacturers of these GLP-1s are going to provide the program at. They're going to provide the drugs at a net price of $245, and in turn, the program is going to provide them to you for $50 a month. So when I'm talking about it not being applied to your max, that $245 nor that $250 is any credit towards anything in your prescription drug plan model. They are all handled outside separately. But it's also fun information to know because you've been paying $1,000 a month for it if you've been on it before this program existed. Our government negotiated with the manufacturers and they got the price for them and the program down to $245 full cost, and they're going to provide it to you for $50 a month. Now, here's something to note. Based on my interpretation, first off, Ozempic's out of this, and the other ones alongside Ozempic that are currently covered under your drug plan aren't in this program. They would still be handled under your current prescription drug plan. So it's Ozempic, Trulicity, Victoza. If your current drug plan's covering it, that's how it's going to be handled. These are for the ones, like I said, Wegovy, Zepbound, Foundayo. Even Wegovy and Zepbound, they have certain requirements where they would be covered under prescription plans. And I'm going to read this next section verbatim right off of CMS's website. Beneficiaries who are prescribed an eligible GLP-1 drug for a use that is covered under a basic Part D benefit, regardless of whether the eligible drug is on the Part D formulary. So Zepbound for the treatment of moderate to severe obstructive sleep apnea in adults with obesity. Wegovy to reduce the risk of major adverse cardiovascular events in adults with established cardiovascular disease and either obesity or overweight would not qualify for coverage under the GLP-1 Bridge Program. Plan sponsors must continue to follow their existing formulary exception processes. So if your drug, Zepbound and Wegovy are not typically on the formulary for Part Ds, but they would have an exception for these specific scenarios. So if you're prescribed for these specific scenarios, you are not going to get coverage under the GLP-1 Bridge program. It's important to note on CMS's website that there's still more information to come out about this program. They're probably going to talk about ease of use, how to get enrolled. There's still a lot of unknowns, but it is being worked on and it is going to come to a head. CMS Administrator Dr. Oz could be quoted, and I will pull it up on the screen here. These treatments are a major medical advancement, but too many seniors are currently unable to access them due to high cost. The Medicare GLP-1 program changes that by making these medications more affordable and accessible, while advancing our broader goal of helping Americans live healthier lives. Now, the Medicare GLP-1 Bridge program will be available nationwide in all states and territories. So really quickly, I just want to dive into some more frequently asked questions that are all available for you to read on CMS's website. An eligible beneficiary must have the provider submit a prior authorization as well as a prescription for the covered use under the demonstration. Another big question is, who is going to serve as the central processor for all these claims, the adjudication, the payment to pharmacies, and be able to provide these medications to you? So CMS will be utilizing Humana, who is also the current administrator of the Limited Income Newly Eligible Transit, or LINET, program. And they're going to also be now the processor for the Medicare GLP-1 Bridge. The LINET infrastructure provides the end-to-end operational capabilities and national scale that are critical to provide broad access to GLP-1 drugs to Medicare beneficiaries via the GLP-1 Bridge starting in July. Now, just because they're using Humana as their central processor, you do not need to be enrolled in a Humana plan to be eligible. You just have to be on a Part D and meet the requirements as stated previously. CMS still has to announce operational guidelines when it comes to all this, but stay tuned and just watch the news. It will be out here soon. Now, another angle to look at with all this is pharmacies. One of the frequently asked questions on their website is, how can pharmacies contact to express intent to participate in the GLP-1 program? Pharmacies do not need to opt in or out of participating in this program. CMS and the central processors are going to provide more information to come. However, it does not look like it will only be available to specific pharmacies, rather all pharmacies. So as you can see, we have a solution coming from CMS, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions. I just wanted to get this out there to show you, hey, you're being heard. For years, I've been listening to people say, hey, I can't afford this. This is what my doctor wants. My prescription drug plan's coming. A solution is on the way. We may not have all the answers yet, but if you watch CMS's website, or you could call me, I could keep you informed as answers come up. So if you're currently on a GLP-1, or if you're thinking about starting one, or wondering whether you qualify on Medicare, it's important to review your situation with either your agent or call me. My number's at the end of every one of these videos, as well as my email. You can shoot me an email, leave a comment, call. I will answer any questions you have as I get the answers myself. So I appreciate your time. I just wanted to get this out there as quick as possible. So if it's not the most edited, sorry. I felt like this was important information that I did not want to delay on. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.